Hello, class. Sometimes on a site plan, as you're dealing with site, oftentimes the grass is almost all that I need to worry about for sort of ground plane stuff. But there are many other kinds of things that might pop up, and so I'll do the next couple videos looking at those things. For example, here I've got ball fields. I'll show you how to do that, or really just anytime you want to change one kind of grass away from another to highlight it. I'll do other things like flower beds, water, maybe tracks and things like that. So I'm going to start with a basic ball field. What I'm going to do is since in this drawing I've got ball fields that are different, tennis courts that are different, and tracks, there's lots of stuff that's going to go on. I'm going to make a layer and call it ground other in my layer, and I'm actually going to make sub layers into this to handle all of that. So I'm going to make a new layer and I'm just going to drag and drop that right into ground. I'm going to start by calling this field grass as my first layer in here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back to a solid color, and I'm going to set this to a darker green. In my case, that's what I want to use for this. And I'll just trace out some of these baseball fields. I'll just start with one. Actually, it'd be easier maybe if I just do this. Softball field right here, just for showing it in test purpose. And we can see I sort of have this darker gray green. One of the things that we notice is some of the texture that I have from below is lost. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come to the object and I'm going to set a blending mode, maybe like multiply. So what I've done is I've taken all the texture that's underneath it and just multiplied it by that darker green to get a sort of darker, richer green with all the texture sort of still coming through. And I'll go ahead and do that for all these ball fields. Let me pause it because you don't need to see me tracing this. All right, so I filled in the rest of the grass areas. Now, one thing I noticed now, having done it all feels a little dark. So I'm just going to come in here. And don't know why there was a stroke on, turn off the stroke. I'm just going to come down. I already set to multiply, but I want to change the opacity down as well just to lighten it. So just do that, and you see you can control the brightness pretty easily that way, and that looks better. Just very subtle. I still see all the texture behind, so it's looking pretty good. And again, there's lots of other things you can do. I can come in here and I can add the dirt for the fields. So I'll call it dirt, and I'll just go and select a color, and it'll be sort of a tannish, light beige color, and I'll come in here and I'll zoom in on that and trace around on that. Let's do one again, and I'll do it really quick here. Probably quicker than I should do, but I don't want to waste your time. So there you go, and I'll go ahead. I'm going to pause the video and do it for everywhere else that I've got ball fields here. All right, good. So I added the dirt, the playing surface in there. I think what I'll do now is I'll do tennis courts. I'll lock this layer, and actually I'll probably do tennis courts in 2 layers. So I'll do tennis court base here, and I'm just gonna, I'll set my color to be a very light green for the first base here. Almost a gray even. I'm just going to use my rectangle tool here because I just want to quickly draw that just overall rectangle for the court, and then I'll call tennis for the courts themselves, and I'll change my color green here to be a little bit darker than that. And probably just use my rectangle tool here, draw one of these out. Now in this case, for the fields, of course they're grass, so I used multiplying some transparency. Tennis courts are, well, if they're grass courts you might use the same sort of tricks, but usually they're asphalt that's painted some color, so I'm not going to put any transparency because I don't want them to have any texture, because tennis courts don't necessarily have texture. So then sort of lock that layer, and then the other sort of sports fields I'll do is the track. I'll assume this is maybe a rubber track. They come in different colors. Quite often they're sort of a red or a maroon color, so I think I'll do that. Change my color to some color that you think the track is. And I'm going to use a little bit of a lighter color than it might be in real life, because anytime you use a bright color, it's going to really draw the eye, and it's not that I necessarily want everyone's attention to be drawn towards the track, but I do want it to give it to look. I've showed this in many other videos. A lot of times, instead of drawing perfect curves, I find it just easier to just do little straight line clicks, and no one will sort of notice it in the final work. Plus the CAD line work hides a lot of it. So I'll go across here and I'll draw this. And one reason why I am showing you the track, because I know it's going to happen, it's the whole track's going to fill in, and you're going to be like, hey, well, wait a second, I have ball fields and things over top of it. So this is going to be a closed shape with a hole in it. So there's really only one way to do that. Now, you don't have to change colors to draw the hole, but for demonstration purposes, I am going to change the color just to some dark color and show you that. What I also have to do is I have to draw out the whole of this track. And then once I have this hole drawn, and I'm probably going a little too quickly, so I don't take too much of your time in not making that curve as nicely as I could, but you get the point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this dark black object and make it a hole in the red one. So I'm going to select, and it has to be top, it has to be above, so I want to see it like this. I'm going to select the track as well. I'm going to go to Object, Compound Path, Make, and it cuts that hole right into it. There's other ways of doing it, but I like doing it that way. So I'll lock that layer and save it, and there we go. So I've sort of got a lot of the site work done. Now there's going to be some line weight things that I want to do overall that I think I'll get to sort of later on in the videos for the site plan, but you know, for example, the track lines I might make white and things like that. Same with the ball fields, like they're not necessarily black, they're white. So, but I'll do that with other things because parking lots have the same sort of issue and things like that. So I might get to that later. Everything's changeable in Illustrator, which is the great thing. So there's some of sport field edits for you.